Mississippi. Monday morning, Dave Hughes here, and joining us now, both on the air on your local SuperTalk station and on SuperTalk TV. You can go to supertalk.fm/watch to see it for yourself. Public Information Officer for the Mississippi Department of Transportation, Katey joins us. Katey, good morning. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're a bit busy right now, I would assume.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for having me on. A little busy, a little bit of stuff happened in this morning. A lot yesterday. Thankfully, Cristobal wasn't too terribly bad, but we're blessed with how everything kind of turned out. But yeah, things are a little busy right now, trying to get everything back to normal as quickly as possible.
Well, I know just in the last 30 minutes to an hour, they finally canceled the storm surge warning for down on the coast, which to me was almost kind of unusual because it's been a minute since the storm came in, and usually that's a feature of a storm as it advances and makes landfall. But there are a lot of things about this storm that just kind of seem drawn out a little bit to me.
Oh, absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. This whole storm has been just different than a lot of storms that I've had to cover or been involved with. Even from the very beginning, when it was going slow, when it was before it got into the Gulf of Mexico, and then once it hit the Gulf of Mexico, it just shot right up to our coast. But then it kind of lingered right before it actually made landfall. And it's just been kind of weird throughout the whole thing. On Sunday, we were kind of preparing for maybe Sunday night into Monday morning. Us having to deal with the effects of Cristobal. But it was 11 o'clock and I was having to send out some press releases and some traffic alerts because we were already feeling those effects and that storm surge and everything. It was crazy.
Well, tell us about the current situation with the roads. And I know most of our problem is focused down in the south part of the state along the coast, right?
Correct. So Highway 90 is, as to be expected, is kind of our biggest concern right now. It's all back open officially, but we've got about 7 crews down along US 90 working to clear debris, sand, working to get the traffic signals back up and running like normal. That's where the focus is right now. Drivers are allowed to be on the road, but just to use extreme caution because that sand and again that debris, that causes a hazard, and as well as trying to navigate around the crews out working, that also poses just some extra precautions that drivers need to take. But as of right now, all the roads that were closed last night are back open.
Now, of course, this refers to state-controlled roads. There could still be some local roads that are under local control, whether it be county or municipality, that are experiencing some flooding, right?
Right, absolutely. As far as for our alerts and traffic advisories, those are for state-maintained roads, as US 90, and also State Route 604 had some flooding as well. But again, those are state-maintained roads. So updates on those, but for anything that is controlled by the city or county, you'll have to get that information from them because they're in control of when they're opened and all that information.
I'm going to be honest, Katey, this is a better report than I was expecting this morning. I was expecting to still hear of a lot more problems than you're talking about here, really.
I'm telling you, with any tropical storm, you never really know what the aftermath is going to be like. We were very blessed in this scenario, but I also have to give a lot of credit to our crews because they were ready to go Thursday, Friday. We were preparing, getting things ready. They had their crews just on standby to get everything done. So when Cristobal made landfall a lot earlier than we thought, or at least we were feeling the effects a lot earlier, they were ready to go. They were ready to get stuff moving, as well as this morning to clear debris and whatnot. So very blessed that the storm wasn't as strong, but also our crews made sure to stay on top of things so that we could get things back to normal, as soon as possible.
Now, one question that I have in the wake of this, because the water being over the road is one thing, but we have seen instances, I've seen it myself personally, where you have water over a road, but it causes problems structurally under the road that you don't find out about sometimes until after it recedes. Do you guys have a process where you go through and you check the flooded roads to see what, if any, structural damage occurred?
I mean, first and foremost, when we get there, we want to clear the road, get everything back to normal. And then there is usually a survey that happens after we inspect the road, make sure it's safe and everything like that. As for what lies underneath, sometimes that doesn't show up until later, but we do take the proper steps to ensure that it is safe for drivers to be back on there. That's our number one concern. Safety is MDOT's number one priority. So they're always safe to be on there. And if we have any suspicions or suspect anything that anything below the surface is structurally not safe, we'll just go ahead and close that section until we can get to the bottom of it. But usually there is a survey that happens after a storm or after any kind of severe weather or anything like that to just ensure that structurally it's safe as well as on the surface it's safe.
Now, as this storm continues to move inland, of course, the coast, as always, took the brunt of it right up front. But we have a lot of rain coming over the next few days, in fact, all the way in the forecast. I think Wednesday we get it down to a 40% chance of showers for Wednesday and Wednesday evening early. So we have a lot more water that's coming for the state of Mississippi over the next few days. What are the chances you think that we're going to see some additional closures or alerts put out over the first half of the week because of this tropical storm?
I mean, I would always plan to potentially have to deal with flooded roads. I mean, Mississippi is no stranger to heavy storms, or no strangers to hurricanes. So the roads that tend to flood when we have those heavy rainstorms come in are subject to flood when we have Cristobal make its way there. So I would prepare for the potential of closures as soon as we get information that it is closed. Any road is closed, we'll get it out to the public. But I suspect that we might have to deal with some more closures as it moves up north. Throughout possibly central Mississippi and also to the west of us as well. So I would just prepare, mentally be ready for those closures. I'm suspecting that we might have a few more, but fingers crossed that we don't have to deal with that anymore. But I would be prepared for it.
Well, and that's certainly the problem that we see. Of course, we have some parts of the state, and I know you're aware of this with MDOT. Issaquah County is a perfect example that's been dealing with flooding long term here. This is not going to help their situation one bit as the storm moves through. And I'm sure you guys are keeping a close eye up there on the roadways and the highways as well, right?
Absolutely. Especially any area that is prone to flooding, we always have our eyes and ears out. Just keeping a close watch on those areas, especially areas like Issaquah County that really gets the brunt of it, and then just additional factors on top of that that have caused so much flooding in that area. I mean, not only in public affairs do we have our eyes and ears, the engineers are making sure that they're watching these areas, making sure they know if roads need to close down, what they need to do. The problem with flooding is, there's not much you can do while the water's still there. You have to wait for it to recede. And that's just, that's honestly the worst part of flooding. So when it happens, we have to let people know and just ask them to stay away. And then once that water finally recedes, then we can go in and do what we need to do. But a lot of times it's a waiting game and being prepared before it comes in. But we keep a close eye on those areas that are definitely prone to them.
Well, Katey, so far so good, right? For this one, it could have been a lot worse than what we have seen so far.
Oh, definitely. I think that we can all agree that it could have been much worse. We've seen much worse on the coast, and we are definitely blessed with how things turned out. Everything went pretty smoothly, considering we're dealing with a tropical storm. But you know what? This is a preparation. We're supposed to have a overly active season this year. So I think Cristobal is a good prep storm for any potentially stronger storms in the future.
I think you just referred to the tropical storm as a warm-up.
Sadly, I think I did too, but hey, when you live on the coast, I'm from Mobile, and we are no stranger to hurricanes, so sadly, it kind of is a prep storm, I'd say.
Yeah, well, you got to stretch those muscles and get everything limbered up so you don't pull something when a big one comes through. So you got a point. You got a really good point, Katey. Katey Rowe, we appreciate your time today from the Mississippi Department of Transportation. And keep the roads rolling, okay?
All right, thanks.